Hey, what's up, YouTube? This is Tony Harvin, and welcome to my YouTube channel, Tony Harvin Network. And we back with another video exposing these so-called preachers out here. You know what I mean? This story comes out of Mississippi, and this fella's named Christopher Willet. Christopher Willet, out of Crystal Springs, Mississippi. Now, according to the news story, it says Mississippi pastor accused of multiple sex crimes, including child. How I word it, because I don't want to trigger YouTube or wherever the case may be. You know what I'm saying? As y'all can see it on the screen, I state this cause is this fella was watching children doing the nasty, downloading that type of stuff, and statutory grape. I don't say the proper word because it can trigger YouTube to put your video in private or flag it or whatever the case may be. So certain words here on YouTube like that, you got to try to switch it around and things of that nature. All right. So here's the story right here, which happened recently. It says a police chief told the Clarion Ledger on Friday that Copa County pastor was arrested last Tuesday for multiple sex-related crimes, including statutory grape, and unnatural intercourse. And that's the first time I've heard of unnatural intercourse, or whatever the case may be. It says the Crystal Springs Police Department identified the man as Christopher Willet, a pastor at First Presbyterian Church in Crystal Springs, a city, an area in the state of Mississippi, a town with a population of fewer than 5,000, about 30 minutes south of Jackson, Mississippi. Willet's age was not immediately provided, but he's a grown man. He's a grown man, all right? It says Crystal Springs Police Chief Robert Thomas, said a female victim came to the police station with a psychologist who is a family friend of the victim of the evening, Friday, March the 7th of this year. Thomas said the victim told officers she was being, I'm not going to use that term. I'm going to say she was being touched on, all right, by Christopher. It also stated that Thomas told the newspaper or the news article, whatever the case may be, the alleged crime began when the victim was 15 years old. And the victim is now 19, 15. A grown man. Check it out. A grown man touching on a 15-year-old. That's a wicked mindset. That is a wicked mindset for a fella to be in the pulpit, so-called preaching the word of the Lord. And then his mindset, wow, I want to touch on kids. I want to touch on this 14-year-old. I want to touch on this 15-year-old, or whatever the case may be. And they bring those type of spirits right in the church. You know what I mean? As we scroll down to furthermore to the story. All right, it says Thomas said officers took the victim's statement and began an investigation into the alleged incident the next morning. According to Thomas, police executed search warrants on various forms of properties, vehicles, laptops, cell phones, and the so-called pastor's house, Christopher Willet's. They also stated that Thomas said officers then conducted an interview with the victim on Monday for about 1 hour and 30 minutes, in which she disclosed more details of the abuse. Soon after, police filed charges against Willet. Wow. This is some sick stuff. I told y'all in my other videos, it's going to be more of these so-called preachers being busted, being arrested, being sentenced, being convicted, being indicted for charges like this. And there's more out there. There's more out there. So if any victims is out there, listen, speak up. Speak up. Don't be in fear for none of these wicked devils that's in the pulpit. None of them. You understand? All right. It also stated that Thomas said Willet faces charges of statutory rape, sexual battery, unnatural intercourse, computer luring of a child, of a person, and child things. Watching children do the nasty, as y'all can see. Though that term, those last two words, I use children doing the nasty is where as though these wicked preachers watch. So-called preachers, beg your pardon. So-called preachers. This is what a lot of them do. They download this type of stuff on their computer, on their cell phones and things of that nature, and then they get caught. You know what I mean? I used to watch this thing and probably still do, How to Catch a Predator with Chris Hansen. You know what I mean? And I'm glad that these predators are being caught. I'm glad. You understand? Because just because he got caught for this one, who's to say it's not any more victims out there? That they are just afraid to speak up. All right? It says Thomas said Willet could face 2 additional charges in connection to the case. He mentioned that this is only accusations. He is not proven guilty of any of this. But the evidence we have against him is pretty substantial. Thomas told the news article by phone. So they have evidence that this fella was doing these things, or whatever the case may be. He also mentioned that Thomas said police arrested Willet on Tuesday by asking him to come to City Hall under pretense of discussing other matters. This approach was deemed necessary for safety precautions due to Willet's known possession of firearms in his home. So they had to lie to him in order to get him to come to City Hall, a location, to ask him about these accusations in which they had proof and evidence and things like that. Hey, you know, I'm glad that we got this platform to, you know, feed it to the people, to be on the lookout for people like this fella, Christopher Willet, who is listed right here on the screen. That is him right there. That is him. That's him right there from Mississippi, right here. A predator, a creep, a devil, a demon in the pulpit. You touching on a 15-year-old? You touching on a little kid? Well, when she was 15 years of age? Who's to say you ain't touching on other kids out there? Where's the father at? Now, I don't condone violence or anything like that, but amen. I'm pretty sure a lot of real fathers out there is like, why this man's face is not lumped up? We don't condone violence or anything like that, but why this man's face is not lumped up? If the police got evidence, if they got proof, amen. I don't care if people is, you know, call themselves sanctified, whatever. If you're a real man, if you taking up for your kids and stuff like that, if you hear a story like this, you're going to want to put hands on him. And I ain't talking about prayer for him. You're going to want to pray for him after the fact that you put hands on him in the other sense. You know what I mean? Let me know what y'all think about this story. Leave your comments in the comment section. I'm Tony Harvin of the Tony Harvin Network YouTube channel. I thank y'all for tuning in. I'm out. Peace.